On June 1807, off the coast of Virginia, a British warship fires on an American ship in broad daylight. Sailors are dragged off the deck, accused of deserting the King's Navy. No war has been declared. But something has already broken. This is the story of a war that history almost forgot. A war where the young United States tried to invade its neighbor, and failed. A war that gave Canada its founding heroes, gave America its national anthem, and left one man's dream of a native homeland in ashes. This is the War of 1812. Picture the world in the early 1800s. Britain and France are locked in a life-or-death struggle, the Napoleonic Wars, and both empires are choking off trade with anyone who dares to sell to their enemy. Caught in the middle is a young country just 30 years old, the United States of America. American merchant ships are being stopped, searched, and seized. Worse, the Royal Navy is boarding U.S. vessels and forcing American sailors into British service, a practice called impressment. By some estimates, thousands of American men were taken this way. Imagine being an ordinary sailor, hauled off your own ship at gunpoint, and told you now belong to a foreign king. But there's a second fire burning, on the western frontier. American settlers are pushing deeper into native lands in the Ohio Valley. And there, a Shawnee leader named Tecumseh is doing something no one had managed before, uniting dozens of native nations into a single confederacy to resist that expansion. Many Americans believe, rightly or wrongly, that the British in Canada are quietly arming Tecumseh's warriors. Trade insults. Kidnapped sailors. A frontier on fire. In Washington, a group of young congressmen known as the War Hawks, men like Henry Clay and John C. Calhoun, start pounding the table for war. On June 18, 1812, President James Madison signs the Declaration. America is going to war, against the most powerful navy on earth. Here's the part that surprises most people. America's plan wasn't just to defend itself. It was to invade Canada. Thomas Jefferson himself had predicted it would be, in his words, a mere matter of marching. He was wrong. General William Hull leads an American army across the border, and promptly loses his nerve. Facing a smaller British and native force under General Isaac Brock and Tecumseh himself, Hull surrenders Detroit without firing a shot, terrified of a native attack that never even comes. It's a stunning, humiliating collapse. Months later, at Queenston Heights, American troops cross the Niagara River into Canada. The battle is fierce, and General Brock, the hero of Detroit, is killed leading a charge. But then something almost unbelievable happens. American militia soldiers on the New York side refuse to cross the border. Legally, they argue, they can't be forced to fight on foreign soil. Their comrades are left stranded and captured. And it's here that an ordinary Canadian farm wife becomes a legend. In 1813, Laura Secord learns that American officers, billeted in her home, are planning a surprise attack. She walks nearly 20 miles through forest and swampland to warn the British forces. Her walk helps them prepare for the Battle of Beaver Dams, a British victory. To this day, Canadian schoolchildren learn her name. 2 failed invasions. A dead general. A farmer's wife turned spy. And the war has barely begun. By 1814, Napoleon has fallen in Europe. Britain, no longer fighting for its life against France, turns its full attention to America. A British fleet sails up the Chesapeake Bay, heading straight for the capital. Inside the president's house, First Lady Dolly Madison receives word, the British are close, and the city cannot be defended. She refuses to leave empty-handed. As soldiers urge her to flee, she insists on saving a full-length portrait of George Washington, ordering it cut from its frame just before the house is abandoned. Hours later, British troops walk into an empty Capitol and set it on fire. The White House. The Capitol building. Nearly every public building burns. It remains one of the only times in history a foreign power has occupied and burned Washington, D.C. Flush with success, the British fleet turns toward Baltimore. On the night of September 13th, warships pound Fort McHenry for 25 straight hours. Watching from a ship in the harbor, where he'd been negotiating a prisoner release, is a young lawyer named Francis Scott Key. All night, he watches the flashes of bombs in the dark, unsure if the fort has fallen. Then dawn breaks. And through the smoke, he sees it, the American flag, still flying over the fort. He scribbles a poem on the back of a letter. He calls it Defense of Fort McHenry. Today, we know it by another name, the Star-Spangled Banner. While cannons roared in America, diplomats quietly gathered in the city of Ghent, in modern-day Belgium. Both sides, it turns out, are exhausted. Britain has bigger concerns rebuilding Europe. America has proven it cannot be easily conquered, but it also cannot conquer Canada. On December 24, 1814, they sign a treaty. It changes almost nothing on the map. Essentially, the borders return to where they were before the war began. But here's the twist, there were no transatlantic telegraphs, no phones, no instant news. It takes weeks for word to cross the ocean. Which is why, on January 8, 1815, 2 full weeks after the war has technically already ended, a British army attacks New Orleans. General Andrew Jackson, commanding a scrappy mix of soldiers, frontiersmen, free black militia, and pirates led by Jean Lafitte, dug in behind cotton bale ramparts. The result is a massacre, for the British. Over 2,000 British casualties in under half an hour, against barely a few dozen American losses. It's the most lopsided battle of the entire war. And it never needed to happen at all. News of Jackson's stunning victory reaches the American public at almost the same time as news of the peace treaty. To an exhausted, war-weary nation, it feels like America won. Andrew Jackson becomes a national hero, and years later, that fame carries him straight to the presidency. Not everyone got a parade. In October 1813, at the Battle of the Thames, Tecumseh, the man who had united dozens of native nations into one confederacy, is killed in battle. His body is never officially identified. With him dies the last serious hope of a unified, independent native homeland east of the Mississippi. It's arguably the most consequential loss of the entire war, and the one least remembered by Americans today. So, who won the War of 1812? The honest answer, nobody, and everybody, depending on who you ask. The United States didn't gain an inch of Canadian land, but it proved to Britain and the world that it couldn't simply be pushed around, a genuine second war of independence in the eyes of many Americans. Canada, still British colonies at the time, successfully repelled every American invasion, and that shared fight became a founding myth for a country that wouldn't officially exist for another 50 years. And Britain, the world's dominant superpower, quietly walked away and never seriously threatened American independence again. Only one side truly lost everything, the native nations of the Ohio Valley, whose last real chance at a unified confederacy died in the smoke of a Canadian battlefield.